Welcome back, everybody, to the Move Better channel. My name is John Pena-Serrata, and we got Dr. Joe here. And today we're going to talk about thoracic outlet syndrome, or TOS for short. I got it before when I was in my early 20s. The symptom that I received was I was getting numbness down my fingers, and it was basically, as I'm standing there, it felt numb. And
you can get some tingling, numbness, pain as well. That's associated with it.
Right. I wasn't sure what it was, but obviously looked into it more in my 20s. And for myself, it was because I was overtraining specific body parts.
Yeah.
A lot of it was my pecs that I was overtraining. You know, in your early 20s, you do a lot of bench pressing and all that stuff. And it basically was creating a numbness or irritation with the nerves that's going down from your neck all the way down to your arms.
Yeah, and a lot of people kind of freak out about it, but that's where the important, it's really important for you guys to get checked to make sure that it is TOS, because it could be a couple of other differentials or different types of diagnosis that could be actually causing that tingling and numbness. So let's get right into it. We're gonna go through some exercises to help you guys out. So what we have here is we have a softball. You guys can use a lacrosse ball, whatever kind of a strong, thick. You could even use a baseball, and for some people who are very, very hypersensitive, you guys can use a tennis ball. But for our purposes here, we're gonna use a softball. It's pretty tough. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put it, if you guys have a doorway, you guys can simply put this against your door. We're gonna put it right against our chest. Where he's placing it is, if you think about the nipple line and right where the shoulder meets, you're gonna go right in the middle there. Now, we don't necessarily need to roll it out. We don't need to, even though we call it foam rolling or lacrosse ball rolling, we don't necessarily need to roll it out. We could just find a trigger point. And that's where a lot of people get kind of confused in this. You're just gonna press in the area where you find the most tender spot, the hypersensitive spot, or so we'd say, and you're just gonna leave it there. That's pretty sensitive right there.
Oh yeah,
because you can see his eyes kind of rolling here. So it's a sensitive spot. You leave it there for about 90 seconds, sometimes even just a minute, until the pain starts to subside.
Right.
We're trying to fire those nerve signals to decrease pain and allow for communication between that tissue and the brain. So we leave it there. Hold it there for about about a minute to 90 seconds. Cool?
Yep.
And the next area that we're gonna go to is we're gonna go right to the shoulder, the posterior side of the shoulder, because our goal here is to work on external rotation of that shoulder. And trying to work external rotation, first thing we do with the lacrosse ball is we're just trying to activate the muscles in the area. And we're, again, trying to create that communication pathway between that area and the brain. So notice it's on the back side of his shoulder right there, or that posterior delt, and he's just gonna keep it at that point right here. You're gonna rotate, and then from this part, you're gonna grab and you're gonna try to work that elbow. You see where his elbow is at right here? You're just gonna drive that elbow. Ooh, that's really sensitive there too. Now we know why John had some TOS. So with this elbow, we're trying to pull it in as he's trying to rotate his hand out. Now you can grab your doorway, the ledge of the doorway, and you can work on that. And yes, you could grab your elbow, pull your elbow in nice and tight as he's just trying to stretch and keep pressure on that back side of the shoulder. So again, we're trying to work external rotation of that arm by pulling the elbow in nice and tight. So he's just leaving it there. Find that trigger point, find that sensitive area, that hypersensitive area, and you're just gonna release tension as you keep it there for about a minute to 90 seconds. Cool. And then the last part of the rolling segment, or the self-massage segment, is we're gonna place it down against that doorway again. There you go. And instead of him rolling up and down, all he's gonna do is just raise his arm straight up into the air.
Ooh yeah.
Hold, and that's all he's gonna do.
Ooh yeah, right
pressure
there.
In that spot, again, trying to create that communication pathway between the muscle that we're about to work, we're about to stretch, and we're about to activate to the brain. Holding it, again, 60 seconds to 90 seconds.
I think it's a good idea to get it to kind of stretch a little bit.
Oh, big time. So we're gonna be doing a lot of stretching with these muscles as well. So if you wanna get some movement in while you're rolling it out, that's great. We could try to keep pressure there, and then we could try to pin and stretch those muscles. Now remember, there's multiple ways to actually work on self-massage. You can roll it, you can pin it, you can.
Yeah,
I feel like it's that song that we're talking about right here. But you can
you can bop it.
you can bop it. You can release tension in that area, in that muscle by just doing various things, stretching it out, moving your arm down. Go ahead and bring your arm down, and then bring your arm back up. Bring your elbow down in front of you, and then you can bring it right back up again. So as long as you're keeping pressure there, you're just trying to get the tissues to elongate and contract at the same time. Cool?
Cool.
So let's get into some stretches. With the stretch here, we're gonna go right into, you're gonna place your hand against the doorway. We're gonna do a doorway stretch. Again, we're trying to work that external rotation of the shoulder. Now, John, yeah, you can place your hand on that. Elbows, your elbow is gonna be right against your rib cage. So you're gonna get closer, right there. So notice his elbow is right against his rib cage here. And all he's gonna do is just lean and rotate away. And as he's rotating away, you feel that stretch right through the pec. You can start feeling the shoulder blade pull against your back here. So if I'm pulling my shoulder blade, I'm trying to get my shoulder blade against my rib cage. And then you're gonna try to pull that elbow forward as he's rotating away. Now, it's perfectly natural, so you might feel some tingling and numbness. If you do, just don't push so hard. Just back off a little bit and be nice and easy with that stretch. And then we could go right back into the stretch again, okay? So from here, notice his elbows, we're trying to pull his elbow forward. We're trying to feel a stretch in that whole front area of his shoulder. And notice he's looking away. Sometimes looking away might actually increase that tingling and numbness. We want to be careful with that. So you can look straight ahead here. Just look straight ahead sometimes, and that might relieve some of that pressure and some of that tension. So again, everything that we're doing here is based off of a doorway, but we're going to be going to the floor in just a second. But if you guys have a doorway and you guys can reach the top of the doorway, you guys can do it this way, where we're going to work on stretching out the chest. We're going to stretch out the lat, really working on those postural muscles that kind of internally rotate us, right? And we're going to just lean forward. You're going to feel the stretch in the front part of the chest here, as well as the lat. Now, if you want a little bit more of a lat stretch, right in here, instead of rotating, you're just going to rotate the elbow. That's it. Yep. Hold your hand there and lean forward. I'm just looking at his fingers right here. His fingers are starting to shake a little bit. But if you're starting, again, if you're feeling the tingling and numbness going down or up towards your fingers now, you're going to back off a little bit and try to relax, and then don't overdo it. Don't try to push into pain. That's not what we're trying to say. We're going to back off a little bit so that way we can start to mobilize this shoulder. The last stretch that we're going to do here is we're just going to use John, and I'm going to have one of the parts of that could be causing this TOS is we have these neck muscles on the side of our head right here that could be causing that impingement. So for John here, all I'm going to have him do, you're going to first grab your fingers. You're going to place it right above your clavicle. There's the mid part of his clavicle right there. Careful for the microphone. You're going to press right down there. And what he's going to do is he's just going to look up, and he's going to tilt his head away from that spot. And what we're doing is we're stretching out the scalene muscles. We're stretching out what we call the SCM, and we're trying to push and trying to release tension of those muscles that may be bearing down on those nerve and arterial segments of our arm, which is what might be causing the pain, tingling, and numbness. So you're going to look away, and each time you're just going to try to stretch it out. Remember, if you feel the tingling and numbness, go ahead and back off, and then we're going to do it again, and then we're going to rotate. And then we're going to look about 60 seconds to 90 seconds.
That feels good.
Yeah.
You tell my face.
You just tell by his chin is shaking. Cool. Now let's get into some activation, because stretching is not the only area that we need. We need to try to create some local strengthening as well as some pattern work, so that way the tingling and numbness goes away forever.
So some of the exercises that you can do to help activate those posterior muscles, also the rotator cuff muscles, to help with the TOS syndrome, or to help alleviate some of that TOS syndrome and create a new pattern, is to exercise the rotator cuff muscles, especially the external rotators, right? So we got Dr. Joe here, right here, bringing his shoulders to neutral position, making sure his spine is in neutral position. And he's going to take a band as simple as one of these double loop bands or whatever kind of bands you may have. And all you're going to do is let's go sideways here. You want to get in a good posture position, and your focus is not to have the elbow too pinned into your rib cage. There's a little bit of a spacing there, all right? And he's going to take the band, have your arms a little bit of a right angle or so, and just externally rotate. And as you externally rotate, you'll see his chest opens up, right? You're gonna see activation on the back side of his shoulders and the rotator cuff area here. And also pay attention that your shoulder blades actually come in a little bit to keep this nice and stable. And you're gonna come in and out if you want to do multiple repetitions, and even hold the position to really activate those muscles in that area. Okay, you could hold it for like 5 to 10 seconds, it'd be good, and then bring it back in, and then do that type of movement back and forth. Sometimes when people do this, they're using too much of a thick band, they start pushing their chest out forward. That's not necessary. What you want to do is just get a lighter band and really get a good control, stabilization on the thoracic region, and rotate the shoulders in and out. Reps, good reps, what, 8 to 15 repetitions? It all depends on like how much resistance you're using. And this is really just to activate those muscles and to create stimulation to get those muscles to do what it's supposed to do to counteract the internal rotation that might be causing a lot of the irritation for the TOS. Okay, so that's one good exercise. Another one we do is what we call a shoulder flexion in a Y position. Get that same band. Again, you could use middle, light to medium type of resistance. You get in this nice little athletic position where you got the neutral spine slightly bent forward, because we're going to use a little bit of gravity to stimulate the muscles to work, right? So knees are bent a little bit, still got a nice natural arch of your lower back. Trunk is nice and firm. Get that good posture going. He's going to pull the band apart so there's resistance already in the back side of this shoulder right here. Okay, and he's going to create a shoulder flexion by lifting the arm up and forming like a letter Y. Okay, he's going to feel all this contraction to this side, even on the trapezius area, and he's going to get a good stretch on the pec front side right there, and then come back nice and easy. Right. One thing to look at is making sure that his head and neck stay stable as well as he does float shoulder flexion. Yeah, you don't want a chicken neck. Ready? And go. Contractions right here, feel contractions right here, back and forth, and then bring it back down. Now, if you're feeling too much in the traps, there's a good chance you're probably using too much resistance. So lighten up the resistance and be able to get a good 8 to 15 repetitions on this. There you go. Good. Nice work. You feel that right here?
Yeah.
And right here? Good.
Yeah.
So that's another good exercise to activate those muscles. Cool. When we think about thoracic extension, here's the thing and why we want to do this. A lot of times, a lot of the shoulder issues that we may feel is because we're not getting enough movement in the middle to upper thoracic region, okay? So that's why we want to actually assess this or address this. What we're going to do here is a good cobra stretch exercise, okay? But here's the thing. When people do cobra stretch, a lot of times they feel the lower back compression right here, right? And they will feel a stretch on the abdominal region. But what we want you guys to focus on is creating movement right here, or an extension. So try to stabilize the trunk as much as possible. Bring your elbows directly underneath your shoulders, and you're going to be on your forearms. Okay? From here, try not to have any kind of pressure here. Again, if you do, you may want to retract back down just to kind of stabilize this area. And then you're going to slowly focus on this part of your spine, extending and lifting that chest away from the floor, even your neck and your head, and creating an extension in this region. When we say extension, you're actually like really elongating that part of the spine, right? You're going to feel contractions here because those are the muscles that are doing a lot of the work, but we want to focus on this region of the spine to do an activation, okay? So you're extending, getting a good stretch, right? You'll feel the stretch on the front side. Now, to make this even more of a movement exercise, you could flex it back down and then come back up nice and slow. You could add the breathing pattern here so that you got to make sure that the muscles do relax when they come in. Flex back down. and then exhale at the top as he extends even further. Again, we go back into that position, extend that thoracic region, especially the mid to upper part of your back. Now, Dr. Joe did do a more detailed version of this exercise, so click in this link right here that we're gonna put up, in which he will give you a more detailed instruction on how to do this exercise. So the next exercise we wanna show you, we call it floor glides. So we got Dr. Joe here in a, what we call a Superman position, or Wonder Woman, whatever you wanna call it. But basically, you're down on the floor, you have your head nice and relaxed, looking straight downward, and you're just gonna relax the whole trunk region. And we're gonna do it, what this exercise will do is it'll help have a little more tracking on the spine, okay? Now, TOS, yes, more on the shoulder, chest area, but again, the thoracic region is also an important part to address when you have this type of issue. So in a floor glide exercise, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the one arm, so right here with Dr. Joe is gonna take the right arm and the opposite leg, and we're just gonna glide on the floor and extend both those body parts, so right arm, left leg, pull it away from the spine, okay? Hold it for about 3 seconds, relax, and then other leg and the arm. Okay, 3 seconds, extend that way, and then relax 3 seconds, and then repeat. Normally, I would say do a total like 10 to 16 repetitions total, and really feel the tracking going on in your spinal area. Good. How's that feel, Dr. Joe?
Feels good.
Feels good, right? Feel like you're gonna feel like you're 2 inches taller after this.
I feel like I'm crawling on the floor, but I'm not.
Nice, good job. So the last segment of exercises that you can do to help address the TOS is to activate actually the neck area as well. So we're gonna have Dr. Joe here come in a position where it is kind of like a cobra stretch position. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna just like slightly lift the chest off the ground, and then we're gonna do some neck retraction or chin retraction. So as you can see, he's gonna bring his chin backwards, bringing the head back a little bit, retracting the neck back to a certain position where it's a little bit, you're trying to get it past your thoracic region actually. And then slowly bring it back down. Okay, we're gonna go up and down for a few repetitions, and then we're also gonna add, because the neck and that region will require it to create this pattern, you're gonna rotate the chin. As you're retracting back, you rotate to one side and rotate to the other side. Okay, and you're gonna feel certain stretches in that neck region, honestly, because that's where a lot of these tightness are coming from. Okay, just like that. Pretty simple. How's that feel? Feels good. And actually, it really helps with posture. So after you do a couple of these exercises, I guarantee when you come up and stand up, you feel like your neck is in the right position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel upright. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully these exercises we just showed you to address TOS or thoracic outlet syndrome will help. So check those out, try it out, and see how it goes. Comment below and let us know how you're doing. All right? See you in the next video.